first, before you dive into the one or get merged into yourself or like this, you first have to negate the idea of two-ness, yes? Because if not, you're going to try to approach non-duality or nothing as a two. So we don't feel that way because what we picture ourselves is a body, and we see a singular body when we look in the mirror. So it's a simple assumption. Well, I must be a terminally unique individual, yes, and I have private thoughts and private feelings, and I do things based on volition and choice and all this. Yeah. But in fact, if you have ever been introduced to Ramana Maharshi, uh, you probably were introduced to people's describing his teachings, people other than Ramana Maharshi. And usually, if you look at a couple of people's description of his teachings, they have similar principles that are always pronounced. And one of the big ones is the greatest mystery. What is the greatest mystery? The greatest mystery is being ourselves reality, reality wanting to attain reality. Yes? That's simple. Now, are we with this identification as the body, and sometimes we're the thought about, which would mean we're an object, sometimes we're the thinker, which means we're the subject. Is that reality? Because it says being ourselves reality. So is that the reality that we're being ourselves? Or is there a reality, and this is a manufactured reality that we start from? Yeah. So in time, we start from this point, and in time, this point is going to outdraw any other process's effects. Yeah, because it's the first process. So selfing almost happens as if it's before the beginning of you. Yeah. And my humble experience in dabbling in certain things and then coming to this idea of non-duality is that the selfing, or this sense of being a subject object, but as a singular thing, I don't see how any process in time is going to get before that process or negate that process. So what we need to do, in a sense, is negate that process before, from the before. So we're going to rely on the assumption presented by Ramana Maharshi that we are being ourselves reality right now, even though the head doesn't think so, our opinions don't think so, because we're busily trying to attain reality in many cases. So that would sort of make you have to question your urge and your drive to attain reality if you are reality, obviously. So what happened here that worked with me, and that's why I'm here on a Tuesday, is that by losing interest in this manufactured you that's very interested in getting salvation for itself, or transcendence, or a stabilized peace, when I lose interest in that, there's a gaining interest in something, I don't want to say a something else, but else. Yeah. And by losing interest in that which is interested in getting salvation for itself, there's salvation from that thing that is very interested in getting salvation for itself. You get saved from being that thing. Because the fact is, you are not that thing. That's the easy way to be saved. It's already a fact. Yeah. Now, we just have to play around with time and sort of recognize the awareness that is peering or looking through time is not of time. And from that awareness, you can see the manufacturing of this subject objectness. Yeah. Just like you see a lot of stuff. You can see the manufacturing of it, and armed with a simple understanding of non-duality, you will come to a pretty quick conclusion. I'm not that. Yes. And then when it really hits the activity that you're not that, there's going to be a loss of interest in it. And that's really the key. Yeah. And that which is interested in losing interest is just more interest. Yeah. So you lose interest in that package of being the seeker, and instead of finding or looking for another sort, you become the sort. And so obviously, if the seeker is the sort, there's no need to seek. Yes? Yes, obviously. There's no demand, it doesn't make any sense, there's no logic to it, that if the seeker is the sort, S-O-U-G-H-T, not the S-W-O-R-D, sort, if the seeker is the sort, where are you going to see a huge change? In the seeking, obviously. Are you going to run to the store because you don't think you have any milk when you see the milk carton? Probably not. Yeah. But if you didn't see the milk carton, you'd run to the store. But if you see the milk carton and you don't need anything else, you're probably not going to even walk to the store. Yeah. You're just going to enjoy a cup of milk or something. Yeah. So in this case, we're going to look at that. We're going to look at that which is taken to be us in the mental state. That's all. And we're going to see it's a manufactured point. And in time, it has you beat. Yes. You know, you can be as mindful as you want. Let's say people practice mindfulness, and yet when they look outside and their old beat up truck isn't there, the first reaction is someone stole it. You know, there's no mindfulness before that. Yeah, I've noticed it. We've tried to talk about it, and then the person forgot where he parked, but he didn't remember that. And his beat up truck that no one would want, he immediately thought had been stolen and wanted to marshal us like a posse to go around town to see who stole it. And, you know, vigilante justice. But the fact is, someone had to come in and say, no, I picked you up and drove you to the meeting. Let's go back. And there's the truck. No one touched it, nothing. There he was, 23 hours and 59 minutes practicing mindfulness, and it gets trumped immediately. You can't get before that. You can't get before that. You're a manufactured you after it. You can't get before. That which is of time cannot go to timelessness. It just doesn't work. Yeah. So when you realize you can't get out of this, maybe, just maybe, the novel idea that you may not be in it will hit. Yes? Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Because you've hit it's like a broken clock. You put the same bet every day, you finally won. You hit the money. Yeah. Because you are not that. Yeah. And then suddenly your drive to be liberated, you're relieved of that need to be liberated. Yeah. And that which you are hoping to idealize as a future recognition and arrival, you're told the truth about it. It's on having never left. You never left where you really want to get to. You might as well question you. If you try to make a vow as that you not to get to it, it's going to get somewhere else. So you might as well just forget about bringing it on your side. Just see it's not you. And there'll be a loss of interest, a sufficient enough of loss of interest that one of its major roles will be over, which is being your GPS. So you're not going to follow its directions. Yeah, and you're not going to get jackpotted by its destinations, really. It will say turn left, turn left, turn left, and you keep going straight. Yeah. You ever see it's going to be a super fresh, you know, when you have a thing punched in your GPS, but you sort of know where to go, and you're listening to its directions, but you know how to go another way faster. And every time you don't follow it, it has a sort of a pause, and it has to regroup, and it tries to win you over again. And you would imagine after 7 times of not following it, it would stop, but it will continue. Yeah. And this is a big thing I learned about the selfing. The selfing isn't going to get it. It's going to keep giving you directions. It is. Even though you haven't bought a subscription, you're not following it, it's still going to say what it's going to say. And it has nothing to do with you. This is the beauty of it. What I saw was a lot of what I thought was me, like the renegade me or the defiant me, was mechanical. There was no me in there. Yeah. It was all mechanical. So it's going to keep saying go left after, and you haven't followed it in like 4 years. It will still be going go left. And then, like a broken clock, it's going to be right like twice a day. It just dwells on that one, I made a left. It erases all the other history, and your travel history is making lefts. So you can't lose interest as it. You can't. You're wanting to lose interest in self is interest in self. Yeah. You can't get out of it because you're right where it's implied. You only can see, you've never been in it. The only way you get clarity about it is not after it, but it is before it. When you see it from the before, you see that it's a mechanical operation. Yeah. And it has made a starting point that is made up in time. And there's a huge amount of unsuspected possibilities right before where time starts. Yeah. And the obstacle to those possibilities is the you that's wedded with that first moment of time. Yeah. And all your wishes to get out of time is just more time. You're going to spend more time trying to get out of time. Yeah. But thank the heavens, we're before it. Yeah. As Jesus says, we're in this world, which if you look at the world, in this world, you would say you're in time, you're in you're this and all this stuff. But to be of the world, he says first, feel what it's like to be in this world. And then he negates that and he says, but you're not of this world. It's a beautiful way to go about it, I feel. Yeah, he describes a familiarity we're all familiar with, and then he whacks it by, yes, you may be seemingly in it, but you're not of it. Yes. So when we're trying to use time to get out of time, which is a lot to do with seeking, you're just reinforcing the reality of time. Yeah. And so I find the greatest success of all those activities is futility. Yeah, they fail. And after you've blamed yourself and after you've did its recommendation when you fail is just do more. And after you've done enough of more, you get to a point where you recognize the system is in and of itself failed. Yeah. Yeah. And it's never going to get that. It's not AI. It's mechanical. It's not growing into awareness. It has a ceiling. And it can, when it hits the ceiling, it just regroups and tries to hit, and he just keeps doing it. We capture that habit of self can't get out of self in recovery. Boom, it just never gets it. You can sit it down and talk about it ad nauseum. It's going to still keep trying to get out of self as self. So what's the move? The move is losing interest in it. You can't stop it. Well, if you stop it, that's part of it, but you can lose interest in it. And the death knell really to the imaginary you is lack of relevance, truly. Yeah. You, in a way, become irrelevant, and that really burns it. It doesn't particularly like that. Yeah. And then the mechanical now, instead of having all the squares, it has a little square, and it's yapping, but it's sort of muted in a way. So you see him talking, but you're not listening to it. The virtual hand is going up all day. It never gets picked. So this is what's worked. to the point where it accumulated here in time as the last answer, which is a great answer because it takes the need away to have any more answers, which is awesome. And I haven't had a new answer for like 20 something years. Yeah. So there's the message, how I see it today. I hope success are your failures. See, could you imagine if you could become what you already are? How could it be what you already are if you could become it? How could being ourselves reality only be ourselves reality at a certain date, at a certain time, based on certain conditions, when being ourselves reality is a present tense state that overrides the partition of time into moments and everything like that? It's all comprehensive statement, being, with no fucking footnotes or look at the appendix. No, being ourselves reality seems to be a present tense state, yes? Before all the other volatile states that come and go and this and that, before all of that, there's a state of being ourselves reality. Yeah. So would it be quicker? Would the recognition be quicker if you got interested in being reality or losing interest in being reality because you already are reality? I would say the latter, yes? Yeah. And then that seeker and the sought, if just look at the equation of seeker and the sought, there's one constant in the seeker and the sought is the sought, seeker, I mean. The seeker is the same, you. And then there's the event of seeking, and the sorts change, yeah? You sought the truth, but maybe you sought it through Buddhism, and then you went to Kabbalah, blah, blah, blah. So all these things change. The seeking doesn't change, and the seeker doesn't change, but the sorts do, yeah? And we're hoping like one sort doesn't work, so we move to the next sort. And then there's some combinations start happening, and they're synthesizing. So now you go to a retreat, they got foot massages, gourmet meals, maybe some tantra if you're lucky on Friday night, and all this, just trying to keep relevant. Yes. Or you can get the message of non-duality, which is the seeker is the sought. Yeah. So what happened just then? Seeker is the sought. Space and time have been compressed. Yeah. The meaning that time is given has already been shrunk. The meaning of space and how do I navigate and get to that space I want to get to is shrunk. The seeker is the sought. Stops all movement, mental, everything. Now, yes, you may pause, but the mental will continue. Watch it. Watch when you're still. It can't be still. Its nature is agitated. It can't sit still. The head. You can meditate as 135 10-day retreats. Yeah. And when you're not in the retreat, your head's fucking going to be agitated. Pretty much. Because it's going to be agitated about the next retreat. So when you have a sense of stillness and you're looking from there and you see the nature of the head, you see the emperor with no clothes. Yeah. And it gives you the sight to see the emperor when it's wearing clothes. You see the emperor has no clothes. No matter how many clothes it's wearing, it has no clothes. Yeah. That's done, and get on with your day, whatever. Yeah. Your community is probably not going to set a, throw a parade for you or anything. People that once liked you may not like you anymore. Yeah. You thought it would be good news. It's not good news. A lot of people, their head is invested in seeking. Yeah. And the head is willing to sign up for 50 years of becoming, but has no interest in being it right now. But if you could tell it that in 50 years of heavy practice, you will finally become what you already are, it would sign up for that because it knows it's going to be the main star every second of the way. When you're trying to know God, you're going to be the knower of God all every second of the way. Yeah. The seeking isn't about finding, it's reinforcing the seeker. The seeking is used to reinforce the seeker. Yeah. So the seeker has no interest in finding, literally. Yeah. When it does, it just maybe stays there a day or two, but then starts looking this for something else. Yeah. Extreme radical Buddhism. Didn't you hear that? Plain old Buddhism doesn't work. Extreme radical Buddhism. Radical awareness. Tell me the difference between dog shit awareness and radical awareness. Can you tell the difference between awareness and pure awareness? Give me a freaking break. It's just names thrown out. Oh, I'm in the pure awareness path. What? We're all seeing from street level. It's all dog shit awareness. That's it. Yes. So that's how I see it. And it worked, you know. I stopped trying to do shit. Yeah. You know how much stuff I unlearned? It was amazing. One of the first things I unlearned around 30 something years ago, I noticed that something could come through me and I could describe things that other people had trouble with. Yeah. And I was put in a position in recovery to lead a meeting every Monday night in San Francisco. And there was like a presence in the room when it was happening. It was very cool. Something was moving through me. But my first mental reaction to it is, I've got to get better to deserve this thing moving through me. So I'm going to have to start meditating and praying. You know, how could I've got to, because if I'm not clear, it's not going to be, did not give a shit about my condition. Not whatever my condition was, did not prevent it from coming through. And it was obvious after a few months. Yeah, I was waiting to see if I had AIDS. At that point, you had to wait for 3 weeks. You would think, nope, nothing. And basically, I got a download that told me just read New York Yankee blogs and go to thrift stores. No monumental transcendence, no 11th dimensional chess. Just fucking keep yourself distracted so this can work. It sounds so much better going to Peru to, put serpent blood on my face and do ayahuasca than go to Goodwill on Tuesday at Senior Citizen Day. uh, this idea of a spiritual warrior, you don't want to give it any arms. You don't want to give it, you got to strip that idea out. There's no warring, there's no warriors in the spirit. Yes. It's not like a battle between this or that. Yeah, it's a disarming. It's a disarming of all your old ideas and opinions and takes on things, and just to be open to see that they don't have really that much meaning. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Anyone?
Oh, that was very nice.
You're welcome, honey. Yes.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to comment about, or you can let us know. You can raise your virtual hand, or
Or there's going to be another riff that usually gets the hands up. Yeah. All right.
yeah, let's have another riff.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
here comes
All
Claire.
right.
Come on in, Claire.
Hey there. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's so good to hear that in the context of combined with recovery. from my very early days of coming into recovery, I was like, hang on a minute, we're trying to deal with craving and aversion. It's like that's the bottom line of, for me, of what sort of I've been up against. And really, I don't need to have a big riff. I just want to sort of say I really identify. I think the little thing that just hit me like a ton of bricks was going through kind of workaholism, really driving myself out in the world, trying to arrive at this mythical place. And I suddenly realized all I was getting really good at was driving myself to arrive at a mythical place. And I wasn't practicing arriving. And I just sort of crumpled, let go of all of that. And I've had two really embodied experiences of, oh my God, I'm already here. They were short, but I touched it. And that was enough. I'm not even chasing to get there again. It's like, oh, right. Yeah. This is a useful framing of moving through life. Just that kind of, I get kind of entertained by watching selfing in the world, which sometimes includes mine. And it's like, oh, there we go again. It's kind of, yeah, look, I didn't know that this sort of forum existed, and it's just really good to find it, because I've been probably sort of feeding myself more from the well of Buddhist teachers than from the 12-step well. But that's not an either or. They're kind of sort of the same path, I guess. But yeah, it's been in the last couple of years that I've really kind of understood what dualism is on about in a way that actually has come out from being theoretical and has become experiential, so that I have this sense of, oh, I can just stop, I'm already here. And it's been a real relief reaching this place. And I kind of, just to be with other people that have some sort of inclination of what I'm going on about is really nice. So thank you. It's lovely to be here.
And you know what, cool is it can keep going on and there's a stop. See, a lot of times my stop was based on it stopping. I don't wait for that, because sometimes it doesn't stop, but you're stopped. Yes. Yeah. A lot of stuff gets revealed, and because there's subtle misunderstandings about things that I've noticed with people, because of the sense of ownership of some of the mechanicalness of the action figure. Yeah. And how people have gotten many free samples of being ourselves reality right now. And then they had a misunderstood expectation that these mechanical things were going to change because they were actually them. But they're not them. They're not you. They're not me. And they may not change. So if your recognition of being ourselves reality is that has to change to fit that picture, you'll be waiting a while. Yes. So this is, to me, one of the biggest points to get across, because most people, when there's a movement, they feel there's a volition behind it, or there's some kind of something, and there's just movements. Yeah. Like that, the first movement of the mechanicalness of the head is that when it's brought into contact, because it does not make contact, the head. Yeah. But through conscious contact, it claims the contact, and it uses that contact to fuel the narrative. Yeah. And the narrative can be brought to 2 points, simple. One, a negation of that narrative by Hoang Po, a famous Zen master, which is whatever can be perceived cannot be that which is perceiving. Yeah, super clear, because most of the time, if you go up into the head believes that that which can be perceived, the body is what's perceiving. That's how diametrically different the possibilities are, and there's not going to be a merging of them. Yes, so whatever can be perceived, which is a body at this moment, through a lens of a computer, but there's a perception of someone sitting in these squares. That perception is not that which is perceiving. And the perception you see of this thing in a square is not what's perceiving. Yeah, but there is perceiving galore going on, but there is no perceiver as this action figure. Beautiful. Yeah, no, oh, one day they're gonna kumbaya, nothing. No, it's just, it's very, very clear, very, very clear that that which we're being led by and taught and talked to from has, that's its program. Its program is the thing that you can perceive is the thing that is perceiving. Yeah, and the fundamental negation of the message of non-duality is to negate that assumption. It's just that simple. And how do you negate it? You don't string it up, you don't kill it, you become aware of it, yes, as you said. You have a sense of the duality and dualism, and now it's actually applicable. You recognize, oh, this comes and therefore something else shows up, or all the movements towards things are really a movement away from something, and on and forth. So you see the movement, yeah, that goes on here in this whole event. This is like a dry ocean, so to speak, and there's all these currents running around, and you recognize the main current of this, or the main jet stream of this whole event, is duality in a sense. But that is how we perceive. We're looking from a thing that is an object and a subject to the head, yeah? And that duality or dualism gets projected by the dreaming. So when the dreaming aspect comes through us as this certain camera, we are a dualistic camera. And so when the light comes through us, it gets differentiated into this movement. Yeah? High, low, yes, no, this, that, blah, blah. Yeah? There's no world that is duality. There's not a duality world. It's an appearance, yeah? And it's an appearance of a projection from mind. And mind is projecting through the small mind here, and then we see everything as how it pertains to us, and we see everything in a dualistic manner. And we don't even have that simple understanding of it. And we're at the effect of our own fucking bifocal seeing. It's not ours, but the head's, yeah? So non-duality isn't giving us a message or giving us an answer. We are the answer. It's telling us how to like probe what's going on. Question the one that's asking all the questions first. Start there, and maybe you don't have to go anywhere else, because you'll see at that, see, this is what happened with me. When I first got this stuff happening and I saw that I could, you know, I could articulate things that people felt and stuff. I thought, wow, you know, this is just going to go off. But it got kiboshed immediately. Says, if you don't see this movement of claiming, you're going to be looking from it. Yeah. If you don't notice that you've already been manufactured, the most intimate sense of you is a manufactured point in a way. Yeah. And that there's no way in hell I'm going to get out of this as this, and realize the futility of all the seeking and everything, then suddenly the non-duality produces an incredible premise. You are what you've been looking for. Yeah. The seeker is the sought, being ourselves reality. Yeah. And you realize, well, obviously this thing doesn't get that. And maybe, thank God I'm not this thing. because if I had to spend all this time having this thing get convinced of something that it cannot be convinced of, it would be ridiculous. So thank God we're not this. It's great. Yeah. And then you get that whispering on having never left. Yeah. And maybe you like taking trips, but you're totally cool and you're totally clear. You're never arriving anywhere, but you like taking trips. Great. Yeah. So, yep. Anyone else?
So, Paul, so
Who's this?
if we're not this, then what are we?
I don't know. Find out. Really. I think that which is seeing what you're not is what you are. The awareness of what you're not is what you are. Yeah. So the best you can get is the seeing of what you not is what you are. You are the seeing of what you're not. Yeah. You can't approach it any other way because then you would be something else trying to approach it. So you approach it through negation. Yes. There's no approach. You don't arrive anywhere, but that's how it works. You negate something, and in the negating of something, there's an affirming of what you are. You use duality to sort of negate both. Yeah. That's how I feel it goes. So if someone could tell me how tall awareness is, what color eyes it has, does it have a tumor on its left arm or something? Then how are you going to describe what can't be described? Yeah. How are you going to comprehend what's incomprehensible? Yeah. The only way you could comprehend what's incomprehensible is comprehend a concept coming from a failed system and now think you know something. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't know what's going on, actually. I know the brilliance, take seeing or hearing. I like hearing. Take hearing and let it go back as far as you can go. Okay, so now, even farther back than hearing the heartbeat, yeah, hearing, go there. You can sometimes feel the blood move, yes? Go there, go farther back, and there's something there's like a buzz, yeah, or a hum, or there's energetic or vibrational thing that I believe is as constant can be here. Yeah. And when I've heard my breath, this was before the breath, this vibrational thing. When I heard the heart beating, it was before that. Yeah. And so that is the last or the first sound I ever hear. What's hearing that sound? What's hearing that sound is not a sound. I don't hear what's hearing that sound. I don't. Yeah. But what is it? It hears all other sounds, but it's not a sound. Yeah. I can take it back to go as far as back as I can see, as like Douglas Harding used to do. And then you see you're on having no head and stuff. And yet you can only go so far, and there's something seeing that. Yeah. You cannot see that which is seeing everything. You cannot hear that which is hearing everything. Yeah. Yet you're the hearer of everything and the seer of everything, but that which is the seer of everything, or the seeing of everything, cannot be seen. What? Yeah. That which is the hearing of everything cannot be seen or heard. Yeah. That which is the doing of all things cannot be done to. It cannot be seen as a doer. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Try it. I like sound. Sound is good because sound is vague. You can't, vision is the vision of the eyes is one of the main planks of the delusion here. Yeah. Because you see things and they're not where you are, so there's a thing there and I'm here. But hearing is different because it's vague. You can't really. I'm so bad that when I think I hear something in the front of the house, it's actually coming from behind the house. So it's very vague. And if you go in there and just go as far as you can back, I mean, yeah, just go back. You're going to run into some kind of vibrational hum, something. Yeah. You may not be able to pick it up, but you will. And then there's every other sound that was the closest sound, like the breath is the closest sound to me. This is before the breath. Yeah. And then there's no other sound before that. Yet there you are. Yeah. You follow the first, you want to say, or the last sound, and there you are. The hearing of the sound. Look, there you are. Yeah. Let's say here, you're seeing the squares here, and there's a little bit of vibration. If I close my eyes, the vibration is the exact same as when it's open. But when I'm open, the head wants to get engaged with the things. But underlying all the seeing of things is the same vibration when the eyes are closed or the eyes are open. Yeah? The closing of the eyes, no thing, and then the thing doesn't change at all. Now, head thinks it changes, but it doesn't change at all. The underlying basis is like a, yeah. Close your eyes. Does it feel like it that oomph is just hitting the eyelid? Yeah, it's almost like it's ready to go as soon as the eyes. It's like if it was water, it would just flush out. It would be like a giant fire hose. There's tiny little eyelids keeping it.
Yeah, it's ready. It's ready to take in information.
But it's ready because it's all this space, yeah? This is like a manufactured made up dam, the eyelid. It's not keeping anything from anything. It's a story. It's like action figure and playing people running and doing this and doing that, but the underlying event has nothing to do with all the dancing on the surface, other than allowing all the dancing on the surface. Yeah. When did you see the sky close its door because it didn't like the cloud formation? When? When did what have you ever seen any cloud ever turn back at the door of the sky? No. Yeah. That's what big mind is like. It's like an open sky, allows everything to appear, but nothing that appears has any effect on it. That's what we are like, really. I'm not talking about Paul Hedderman, the thing. I'm talking about our nature. Yeah. Our nature hasn't been affected by one cough or one, allergic sneeze. Yeah. All of the concerns and worries are usually about the body. Do you really worry about spirit? And remember that old song, I just dropped in to check what condition my condition is in? The real booger of a condition is the one that's checking in on the other condition's condition. That's your little policeman narrative up there. Yeah. You ain't a condition. Yeah. You're beyond condition or before conditions. Incomprehensible. But if you go to any sound, there's something that's before it all. If you go to any vision, there's something before it. Yeah. All the seeing, that which is seeing all cannot be seen. It's beautiful, eh? You're it. You're it, Moochie. Yeah. But not as Moochie, not as Paul. Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this allows you to travel later, man. Like St. Francis says, it's in self-forgetting that you're reborn. Yeah. Now if he was here, he probably would have stopped after he said that and gone over it and said, now it's not self forgetting self, it's self forgetting. Yeah. So be clear that there's already a manufacturing of the idea of you that's you're unaware of, is now is going to be the one that's going to try to forget itself. So when self tries to forget itself, that's more remembrance of self. Yes.
Yeah,
When
it wants to taste the absence of it. Yeah.
When something that's playing God says it's going to quit playing God, isn't that playing God? Ad infinitum. You can't get out. The beautiful news is you're not in. If you're in, how many outs have we tried? In this room, there's been, I mean, there's thousands of attempts to get out in these squares, thousands and thousands. Yeah. The recognition is you're not in. What? Yeah. Mm.
Wow.
The head's going to keep trying to get out. It is. It doesn't get it. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? Moochie, you're in good hands, man. Just, yes.
I know it.
Let's make a very empty vow, you and I, of let's take ourselves less serious. I'm definitely taking yourself less seriously.
All right. It's a deal. That's inspiring. Yeah.
right.
All right. Thanks, man.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, by the way, my cousin's here today. He's joining us for the first time. I don't know if you could see his square there. It says Matt, Las Vegas.
Oh, Matt, I can't right now. Oh yeah, I just saw him. Hey, Matt, nice to see you. Yep,
You can unmute Matt if you want.
you got Moochie and Matt. Huh.
Yeah, I dragged him here for the first time, so
Oh, it's okay.
I said
Nice
he could be a fly on the wall and suck in the fumes.
Yeah, yeah. There is a presence.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? I think I saw Mary Champagne waiting to. Yeah, she's.
I'm thinking about what's hearing, and it's like the head could make that into a tooth. So how do you get into another self, right?
How do
So
you
we
get-
want to do the not too, right? So if you could just put it together is a little.
Well, the not to is, again, in the head, there's an objectified self now. Yes. So people that over time learned about something that they just took to be them, that maybe led them into addiction and shit like that. And so they've learned that there's an objectified self that ruined their life or something. Yes. And then at that moment, there's a subjectified self that's going over the objectified self. They're coming from the same, they're water from the same well. Yes. So now this is the duality, which is the not to. So the objectified idea of you, that body which is thought about, and the subjective aspect of you, which is you are the thinker. Yeah. You're neither of those. That's simple. So it's not a negation of one reinforcing the other. It's a negation of both. And this is not two. The act is not two. It's like not 40, not 30. It's not two. There's two movements. One movement through difficult periods of life, you are probably dragged there, which is recognizing something about you is a little fucked up or something. Yes. That becomes the objectified thing that has ruined my life and stuff like that. But that which is talking about that objective self is also an aspect of the same well. Yes. So the negation is not only of the objectified self, but also of the subjectifying self at the moment. Yeah. So you see that which is reacting to the object of self is also not you. Yeah. Now, a lot of people have practiced a lot and they have become very clear about aspects that had defeated them, but they're not clear that which is going over the defeat ad nauseum is part of the defeat. They don't see that it's a negation of two aspects. Yeah, not just knowing what I'm not, because there could be an idea of a one that's knowing what it's not. Yeah, you want to catch both of them and greet them with "I'm not that." Yeah, or if you want to look at self-inquiry, which is it's not a technique, it's an invitation really. But if you look at self-inquiry, if you don't know it, I don't want to go into it too deeply, but it's a process that was in the earliest scriptures of the world, the Vedas, and it got popular again when Ramana Maharshi in India came out of being silent for many, many years. The first thing he talked about, because he realized his silence, the people weren't getting it. So when he decided to talk, and the first thing he said was, well, self-inquiry is the only thing you can do here. Yeah. Or surrender. Everything else is going to be the self doing it. So what would be the self-inquiry? The self-inquiry would be asking that objectified self, yeah? Who are you? Or just say, who am I? Okay. So here it is. So there's me right now asking, who am I, to an other aspect of me, yes? So me goes, who am I? And I'm waiting for an answer. And maybe I get the answer me. Yeah. And then I go, well, who is this me? And then it just shuts up. So now you finally got both of the aspects of what you're not in the same room at the same time. So the one who's asking, who am I, is not you. And the one that's being asked, who am I, is not you. Bammo, yeah? So they negate each other, and there's the pause. The pause that's eternal, actually. Us, yeah? Or as in Zen, they would say, you'll see your original face, which doesn't have a face, yes? Your original face is this space that's brimming with awareness. You've negated two of the poles of duality at the same time, and there you are, yeah? You don't recognize that you showed up because you never left. And then sooner or later, it dawns on you that you're not something that's not here and that's going to return. It's never left. Yeah. So it's a not two, in my view. And I don't think you have to go any further than that. Yeah. Catch the one, and then catch the catcher of the one. And then just, I'm not that. And you're going to start traveling lighter.
And just stop, right?
Hmm?
Stop. Stop
Well,
it.
you don't stop it. It keeps doing its thing, but you lose interest in it because you've got a very strong sense you're not that. Yeah. And I'll tell you, most of what attracts the interest in all this shit is it's about us. Yeah. When you see that it's not about you, there's going to be a loss of interest in it. It just gets withdrawn. It does. And now it starts enriching your day instead of being used to enslave your day. Yeah, and that's traveling lighter. That's how I call it, yeah. On the action figure world. And that's the greatest gift the action figure can have because it can travel very heavy. So if it can travel lighter, that's got a lot of value in this world of values of heavy and light. Light has a lot of value. It does. Just traveling through a Tuesday. Yeah, so that's the best I can do right now. I'm a real believer of not two. This is what the guy exclaimed in the Faith Mind. It said not two. That's it. It didn't say not 30. It's just not 2. Well, what are the 2? It's the subjectified and the objectified sense of self. And you catch them, and there you go. Not 2. See what happens. I bet you taught traveling light, or a lot of people here have, without any thought or effort on their part. They've seen the thought and effort was a way of obstructing it, actually. Yeah. Or they must like me a lot because they keep coming back. I would say it's the first, not the latter. So, and you're welcome all the time. As long as I can live and stay alive, I'll be doing this, I think. Or if no one shows up, then I won't. But yeah, it's just a forever joy that comes in. It's like knowing that there's a really good movie and you're at the theater. I mean, I can just, you could just, yeah, yeah. But it's a really good movie. And this isn't I humbly believe it's the truth. I believe Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj and Huang Po are forecasters of the truth. I do. Yeah. When I hear people talk about everything starts with the premise that this is a real place and stuff like that, and I just don't agree with that. Yeah. I had this lady I knew. We traveled a little bit when I was young and really like her, still do. And I hadn't seen her in a long time. And in those years, she was going to be in San Francisco at a conference. She became a psychologist, a psychiatrist, yeah. And so she wanted to meet me for coffee. So I went there, I picked her up. And then she wanted to talk to me, like philosophically. And I saw her point, but her whole thing was based on the reality of this place. And I said, we're not going to meet, because your starting point is not my starting point. And this starting point is not your starting point. So with your starting point, everything you say makes incredible sense, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Because the starting point I don't agree with. I don't believe this is a real place with real people and real things. Yeah, I just don't. I would think why would it last 80 years? Seems like a lot of production for fucking not a long time on the stage. Literally, I believe this is really like dreaming, like what we have at night, except it's called the awake dream. That's what I believe. Now, that doesn't matter in the message giving, but these are my, action figure opinions. Yeah, I really don't. So when I hear someone and they're not starting here, I don't. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's going to be put to great use here somehow, but I have no interest in it at all. I don't have the interest in becoming what I already am. I do not. Lost it completely. And so when I used to be called to go to different groups, I felt like a fraud because I have no interest in spirituality whatsoever. Yeah, I'd love to flatten all of their urges to seek. I would. I used to go to these big meetings they had. And finally, they had a chalkboard one day and I wrote, "You don't really have to do this again." Yeah, and then of course they had me do it again. I mean, I could have done it could have, yeah. And I was always amazed. Why do they keep inviting me back? Yeah, but whatever. Now they don't. So, this isn't a slicker way to get somewhere. I don't see it that way. This isn't the new subtle, and it's got the super lubricant. I don't see it. I don't have no interest. Yeah. I'm going to go soon enough. Sooner or later, yeah. This is going to be a sudden end or a longer end, but it's going to end. Yeah. Oh. So, all right. Thanks, everyone, so much for showing up and sharing with us here. It's always a pleasure. I'm really happy to meet Stephen Mack and Mary Champagne. Yeah, she's like a glass of water to me. That's nice. And Jim Elliott and Mucci and his brother Matt or whatever, Mike Clark, our Mexican. He's our lone missionary in Mexico, Mike Clark. Yeah. Gets to eat well. That's good though. And we got Kathleen. We got Cam. Nice to see Cam. Keith's phone. Matt in Las Vegas. We got Eric, my man, my cobbler, my mochi maker. We got Mike G in San Clemente. Esther has made an appearance. All hail Esther. Nice to see you, hon. David Bitterman. If you ever need a ride, I'll give you David's number. He'll probably drive a few states to pick you up. Yeah. Don't take advantage of his open heart. Judy Lovins. Always a pleasure, Judy.
Judy.
John Florida, getting better. The heart stuff. Mike G. Miak. Miak made me like 120 gluten-free biscotti, and I'm not giving one of them away. I eat them for like months. Yeah. Gluten-free gives you a lot of there's good advantages when you say gluten-free. It cuts a lot of people out. They're not gluten-free, so I get all the biscotti. Organic, credible biscotti, better than any biscotti in Italy by Mia. Yeah, it's very nice. We got David and Natalie. I think we have Claire. Thank you, Claire, for sharing. Pleasure to see you. Hope to see you back. And your friend, Nick and Jim Elliott. Everyone, hey, thank you so much. We'll be here what's today? Tuesday? We're here tomorrow night, and I think we do 5 things a week, and they're on Zen Bitch Slap event page. Same Zoom, no password. Usually the room gets open like 10 minutes or less before the meeting, and I hope you join us and have a good day or a good night. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank
Thank you, brother.
you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, everyone. That was beautiful.